My name is Matt, and welcome to episode 1 of Small Talk Tech, the podcast interview series where I look to uncover more similarities than differences in what makes people in tech tick. On today's episode, we have Nadja Summerscales-Gunn, also known as _Code Queen on Instagram. Nadja is a front-end developer based out of the UK, and her first foray into the field was through a web design apprenticeship she began after dropping out of college. Being inspired by her boss, she eventually tried out a few online courses on how to code and fell in love. Fast forward to today, and she is now a lead developer at the very same digital agency she started that apprenticeship with. In this episode, we go over getting into the industry, the importance of having a support group, and practicing mindfulness, among a bunch of other topics in this hefty launch episode of Small Talk Tech.
I am Nadja Summerscales-Gunn. I'm a lead developer for a small digital agency based in the south of the UK. Started out as an apprentice and now worked my way up to lead developer. Wouldn't say that I've filled my boots completely. I'm still very junior in my experience, but my boss felt that it was right for me to take that role on. Specialty language is PHP currently, but I'm looking at going into either MeanStack or React. So I actually started out as a designer and then worked my way into development. I started my apprenticeship as a designer, and then my boss kind of just introduced me to code, and I fell in love instantly. So that's how I got into it. And then I worked pretty much like 7 till 8 o'clock every day for like a year.
Oh wow.
Trying to improve myself. And then I got offered my front-end developer job in, I think it was the March of 2016 or it would have been 2017 when I got offered that.
Oh, so getting the anniversary pretty close.
Yeah, so it's actually my 2-year anniversary at the company in 5 days.
Oh, well, early congratulations.
Yeah, very exciting. Feels weird that I've been in the industry 2 years.
Yeah, it must have been like a blink of an eye.
For like a year now, so but yeah, that's basically my background.
Awesome. So going back to a bit closer to the beginning of that, so I was doing a bit of research, and you actually dropped out of college to pursue that apprenticeship. Could you walk us through, kind of the thought process that led you to make that decision? Did it seem like a no-brainer? Yeah. Was it something that was, really immensely, important at the time for you to really settle on? What was kind of your headspace there?
So I've kind of gone through a lot in my head as I grew up. I had a lot of ideas as to what I wanted to do. Like, I didn't have like one sole focus. Mm-hmm. I did really well in biology and chemistry when I was at school. And I then went on to college, and I studied biology, chemistry, and Spanish. And I was going to go on and do marine biology, and I was going to move to Canada to go do a marine biology degree. But I then realized that wasn't actually the kind of job I wanted to be doing. It didn't fit my personality that well. So I kind of moved into design work because I was really interested in photography at the time. I finished my 2 years at college with, I think I got BBC, which is like an average, grade point average here. Mm-hmm. And I did an extra year. So we have things called foundation degrees, which basically is like an intermediate section of before you do a degree. So it's just like meant to ease you into it. Right. So I did that. I didn't really know what I wanted to do for a year. It was either that or I went traveling for a year. So I chose to stay here, and I was like, I'll work and I'll go do this course. And I got halfway through the course, and I didn't really know if I wanted to go to uni or if I wanted to work. So I was kind of stuck because I don't know if you know, uni out here is incredibly expensive. For a year, I feel like each term is like £4,000, and then you've got living accommodation fees on top of that, and then food. So it's very, very expensive to go to university. And I didn't want to be in that much debt at the age I am now by the time I'd finished. So started looking into apprenticeships, and I think there was just like one day over a weekend, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to have a browse and see what there is. I ended up applying for like 20 apprenticeships, and I got contacted by an agency who said that they had an availability with the company I'm currently with. And I was like, okay, go ahead, put me forward, I'll see what happens. And I got an interview, so I went and had my interview with my boss, and we literally just clicked instantly. And it was at that point that I realized that it was a complete no-brainer for me to leave. I really enjoyed working. Like, I would work. I had 2 jobs at the time, and I went to college, and I was enjoying my work more than I was at college. So it was more of a no-brainer for me to just go and work there as a designer if that's what I wanted to pursue. So I kind of just thought, you know what, it's not a big deal if I just drop out. I'm halfway through the year. It's not really going to benefit me if I stay. It's going to benefit me more if I have experience, and more companies are going to be interested in me if I have more experience. So I just went and did it, and it's probably the best decision I've ever made.
So you definitely would call that probably like one of your favorite failures, quote unquote, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't regret it at all. I know a lot of people will probably be saying that, yeah, but I don't have a degree. But for me, it's not a big deal. And I know a lot of companies do request a degree, but others don't. And sometimes they dismiss it. Like, so if you've got a recruiter looking for you and the company wants a degree, the first thing the recruiter or the company will drop for a certain developer is the fact that they need a degree. So that's what I found anyway. I've been quite lucky. But yeah, I've been incredibly lucky in my role that my boss was like, he allowed me to move from design to development. And yeah, I kind of just fell in love with it. So yeah, like for me, I totally recommend experience over degree. Because sometimes I feel like I know developers that have gone to uni and done a degree and they haven't actually gained any experience out of it. They know how to build stuff, but they've got no industry experience, and it's incredibly difficult for them when they go into a job because they don't know what they're doing and they're having to learn something all over again, especially because a lot of companies or a lot of corporate companies use C++ over Java now, I think, especially in the UK. So they learn Java at uni and then they have to go and learn C++ anyway. I mean, the logic's the same, but it's still learning the syntax. So yeah, I'm definitely experience over degree. I don't know what your thoughts on that are. Did you get a degree?
Myself personally, no, I haven't got one, but your comment based on, you know, in the UK that it's so expensive just for one semester, that's the exact same thing here. And I feel like kind of colleges and universities and all that sort of like a field,
Yeah,
that's going to be going away over the years just because of the advent of the internet. Makes it so much easier to, you know, independently research and go ahead and find. And, you know, that's kind of why I wanted to start this podcast as well, because I feel like there's such a breadth of knowledge that you don't have to pay, you know, like $8,000 a semester to find. It's all free and it's available.
yeah. I mean, I know so many developers on Instagram that have just taught themselves. I mean, I'm pretty much self-taught, so I know so many people that are like, they just teach themselves on Udemy or Team Treehouse, and I think they're really good resources. I mean, I do feel like sometimes there is people who can program have a natural talent at it. They're really good problem solvers, and you can teach yourself to code, but it's more difficult for others than it is for like some people. I'm quite lucky. I learned how to code quite quickly. I think my learning curve was between, I think it was like 4 to 8 months before I could fully build anything, which was quite quick for.
Yeah, that seems relatively quick.
Yeah. But then again, I was in it every single day. I was coding for 8 hours a day and then going home and doing extra work. So that's a lot of time for you to soak up information. So that's probably actually one of the biggest pieces of advice, is to just immerse yourself in code. Like, live, breathe, eat code. Like, it's literally like, once you do that, your brain just starts to adapt to the way that you need to think when you program.
Yeah, like suffocate yourself with coding.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you know BZ Code.
Not personally, no, but yeah, you can feel free to explain that too. I'd be interested to find out.
He's completely self-taught as well. Or I'm gonna call him Brad because that's his actual name.
Okay, we'll go with Brad.
But he is doing the 365-day challenge where he codes for 365 days. And I think the fact that he's been able to do it so well so far is like incredible. I could never do that. Like I think he's on day 316 or something now.
So he's close. He's over the halfway point.
Yeah, but that's completely immersing yourself in code. Like I think that's like an amazing way to do it. Like set yourself a challenge. Like even if you do 30 days or 90 days, like it's still like you're immersing yourself in it because you're doing it every single day.
Yeah, and even if you fail, but you complete it, like you, even down the road, if you know your career path changes to something else, you could still look back on that, and it's kind of a really cool way to document your process. Even you know, with coding, with building computers, playing games, music, just that idea of documenting is, again, that's something that wouldn't have been found even 10 years ago. Like you would have had to get like a TV crew and pay like millions of dollars to get it on TV, and now you just have it for free on YouTube, on the internet, or Instagram posts, and you have millions of people seeing it. It's just insane.
It's so amazing. And yeah, like it's definitely, I really don't believe in like degrees and like university and paying for stuff, because I hear a lot of students in the UK, they say that they pay £9,000 a year for tuition fees, or however much, 12,000 I think it is, and they literally go to 3 lectures a week, which is a PowerPoint, and it's just like, how can you justify paying that much money
and having no hands-on time?
Yeah, whereas when you're teaching yourself, you're literally having to do it instead of someone. It's kind of like a glass. Like you can either fill that glass up yourself, or you can go to someone else and they can fill it up for you. I feel like that's something that one of my teachers said to me. They were like, you either need to do it yourself and that's how you're going to progress, or you can go to someone and they can fill it out for you and you won't learn anything. And I kind of feel like university nowadays is very much like that. It's not always as hands-on as if you teach yourself. And I really do feel like learning to program is way better and way more fun when you're teaching yourself using Udemy or Udacity, because like we're like, it's techies teaching techies. Like it's amazing. Like we all know how each other think, so we're all on the same wavelength. So yeah, that's how I think is like the best way to learn. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm in 100% agreement. Like everything I've learned with tech has been completely self-taught, and I think in order to become that level, you have to become a master researcher, because the internet's just so vast, and of course there's also not everything on the internet is true or factual or up to date, so it's not perfect, but if you know where to look and know where you can find those resources, it's incredible and better, in my opinion, too, than any sort of university or class that you could go to.
I mean, they say that to be a good developer, you have to be a good Googler, and I think that's that's so true. Like you have to be a pro Googler to be a good developer. Like
I think that's just good life advice.
Everything.
Like anything in life, be a good Googler. Like, oh, my sink broke. All right, I'll go on YouTube and figure out how to fix it. Like it's so applicable. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's like it's amazing how much we can do nowadays without having a degree or going to school. So yeah, that's my thoughts on university and like getting experience, like just doing projects. It's literally like the most important thing for me, actually building things.
Yeah, just
because
working.
That's when you gain most experience and gain most knowledge. That's how I've realized I've improved so much.
Yeah, so speaking on that a bit too, I've seen you post before about yourself comparing yourself to other developers, and how it seems that, from the outside looking in, they pick up libraries faster or frameworks faster than others. Do you find yourself making comparisons like that often?
Yes, 100%. I see so many people on Instagram. I'm very jealous of people that can pick up JavaScript quite quick. I have actually really struggled with JavaScript since day one. I remember, so when I first started code, I learned HTML, CSS first, and then JavaScript was my next language that I wanted to conquer. And I remember setting a goal. I had this sheet where I had to set down like 5 goals that I wanted to complete in the next like month. And I wrote down that I wanted to be proficient in JavaScript. And at that time, I didn't really know a lot about it. I didn't know about libraries. I just thought I'll just learn it like completely, and not realizing that's not the case all the time. So I started learning it, and I actually found it really, really difficult. the only reason I kind of moved into PHP is because of my boss. He's primarily PHP, and he has been a huge help to me. I go to him for pretty much any issue. He's literally on call to me all the time if I have any problems. But Java, like, I am very jealous of people that can pick up libraries really, really quickly. I'm actually part of a group called Tribe of Devs where we kind of all communicate and like support each other. And I know that there are a lot of people on there or within the group that they've told me that they get annoyed because they feel like they need to learn another language before JavaScript, or they need to learn a certain language so that they can get a certain job, but they want to go back to JavaScript, but they find it too difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely feel that. Like, JavaScript's quite easy now that I've learned PHP, all the logic behind it. It's just the libraries for me, especially going from MVC framework to React, the way that works, that is completely mind-boggling for me. Have you worked with MVC before?
No, I have not. I actually don't have any programming experience myself.
Yeah.
No. I currently work with in professional IT, so like building computers, system administration.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that sort of stuff.
So jealous. I really want to try that at some point.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. But yeah, actually kind of part of this too with my whole, small talk tech experiment, I guess you could call it, is I've always had like a interest in coding and programming and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But just for me personally, I've never really spent that much time. So I'm always just fascinated to hear about, all the different details of that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, in PHP you have frameworks that are built. It's called Model View Controller, and it's basically it's like a process, the way like applications are built,
mm-hmm.
The way the database communicates with the application itself and stuff like that. So JavaScript, the way that React works is very, very different. So going from PHP to JavaScript it's completely mind-boggling. I've got a developer part of my team at work who is learning React Native at the minute, and he's actually getting really, really good at it. I'm quite impressed. And he gets it way more than I do. But he's never touched PHP or like really,
mm-hmm.
and he doesn't know MVC. So I think that's the reason why I struggle with it so much. But I compare myself to other developers all the time, just because they seem to know, I feel like they seem to know way more than me. But I have had instances where people have come to me and been like, "Can you please help me fix this problem?" And I can help them, and it feels so good. But
yeah, you feel almost like vindicated.
Yeah. The thing that I have realized, I don't know do you follow quite a few programmers on Instagram? I'm guessing you do.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've realized a lot of Instagram influencers are big on JavaScript.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very big on it. And I feel like you almost get reined into doing JavaScript because everyone's doing it.
It's the popular thing, so you want to be included in the clique, quote unquote, so you fit in there.
It's very, very rare that I find a PHP developer on Instagram. Very, very rare. And if I do, they're WordPress, which is fair enough. But I don't find a lot of people that know Laravel or Cape PHP or Symfony. I mean, I do have some people, but not a lot. And the majority are JavaScript. And I feel like that's why I compare myself, because I'm wondering whether I'm in the right area, if that makes sense. I'm wondering, should I be doing JavaScript instead of PHP? But I guess it should just be personal preference, and it's something that I've realized more recently, and something that I've been speaking to other developers about, is that like, use the language that you feel is most useful to you. Like, if you want to build a certain application, you can build it in both JavaScript and PHP. They will both be able to do it. It's just that they do it differently, and I kind of feel like people look down on PHP because it is such an old language, and I still think it's fantastic. I love using it, but that's that I'm obviously quite biased because I know it. But yeah, I compare myself more because I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing, but in reality it's different. Not many people do it, but I still do it, but I don't recommend. Like, I obviously, I'll sit there and I'll say, don't compare yourself. Like, it's ridiculous to compare yourself, and I do have to remind myself sometimes. And to be honest, there was a point where I was getting really down in the dumps just because I didn't understand why I was struggling so much more than other people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I see people like the avocoder, Lydia.
Yep.
She's obviously amazing at React, and it's difficult when you see other people doing so well in it and you really want to do well in it, and you're finding it so difficult. So for me to kind of get over that, I'll just approach someone and I'll be like, can you please help me improve? So yeah, I mean, Lydia's part of Tribe of Devs as well. So if I have any questions, she's there to ask. And she said that. So it is nice to have a little community, and if you're ever down, then like it's nice because everyone is really supportive and they'll try and make you feel better. So yeah, I mean, I've stopped comparing myself more recently, but I think that's just because I don't take Instagram as seriously as I used to now. Like nowadays, I do it so that people can kind of stay up to date with what I'm doing, and to kind of give advice and encourage people to do well. Whereas before it was more like I didn't really know where I was going with it, and I felt like I needed to prove something to people, when in reality I really don't. People are interested in what I do, whether it's like JavaScript or not. So yeah, is it the same? Like, do you like? Obviously, I know that you haven't got any programming experience, but you're in tech. So do you find it's the same? Like, do you compare yourself to others that can? I don't know, like.
I guess more
I don't
lately
know a lot about
with
building computers, so I don't know kind of what you would compare yourself over, like whoever's like better at it, or
I'll give a little bit of a better example too. I'm a musician. I've been playing music for most of my life. So a lot of times, like when I'll see like, a really talented musician, I'll just be like so down in the dumps, like have no motivation to do anything. But the kind of double-edged sword of social media that is, while it is such a great way to connect with people and reach out to people, discover new things, especially on Instagram, a lot of what's on there needs to be viewed with kind of a different mindset, because obviously people are only posting what they feel is, their best selves or their best work or what they're doing. A lot of people don't have the kind of humility or courage to kind of show, like, when they're down or when, they've completely broken something. So I think a lot of people need to kind of view social media, but especially Instagram, I tend to feel it's the worst. With, a lot of people tend to front that everything is, everything's perfect, everything's great, but really behind the scenes, they didn't show you the 30 other photos they took before they posted that one, or when, they were filling out something and it just completely broke whatever program they were working on. So a lot of people need to kind of view that with that sort of mindset, I feel.
Yeah, I used to be so bad because I used to sit there and say, like, as I said before, I worry about why other people were so much better, and like it is just realizing that it's not, people don't stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning coding and wake up at 5. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, not, and if it does, then it's one day. It won't be every day of the week, and it's like this whole hustle thing. I really hate how there's this huge thing on Instagram about how you have to hustle. You don't have to hustle, I don't think. I feel like I'm only 21, so for me, I also want to live my life. I want to experience as much as I can, and I know I have this argument with my boss all the time because he has the viewpoint that he feels like you should work hard when you're young, and then you can enjoy your life when you're older. You can retire early and you can go traveling. And for me, I don't want to wait until I'm like 45 and then go traveling, because I'm not going to be able to do the same things that I can now.
Right.
And when I'm 21, these are going to be the years that I'm having fun and I'm being an idiot. And I mean, I love working, but I also enjoy traveling and having fun and going out with my friends. And I've made a post about this before, about how my life isn't just work, and it used to be just work. In my first year, I was awful. I completely neglected all my friends and all my family to work. And in my second year, I realized, I was like, this is so stupid, because you get so down in the dumps and you get so stressed, and it's completely unnecessary for a 19 to 20-year-old to get stressed. There's no reason for it. So I just kind of realized that I don't need to be working 16-hour days.
Yeah.
It's stupid. I'm killing my body and I'm being less productive. So nowadays I kind of try and keep my working hours to about 10 hours, and then I'll come home and I'll do work if I want to. But right. I'm not going to force myself to do it. I know a lot of people get really burnt out, and I've burned out before. so I know what not to do now. Yeah, I definitely don't recommend working all the time and hustling, as Gary Vaynerchuk would say. I don't know what your view, like. Do you watch Gary Vaynerchuk as an influencer?
I hate Gary, but I love him. But
Yes.
I love him. And the reason I'm saying this is because I originally found out about him through like a Facebook post and listened to a lot of stuff, and I'm like, man, this guy's a jerk. And then, being bored of work at a desk all day, I'm like, there's more stuff coming up, I'll listen to it. A lot of the advice he gives is good, and a lot of it is solid. And even more recently too, he's been saying, get more sleep. Like, I'm essentially saying about himself that he is a freak and, don't do what I do. But I definitely do agree that the quote unquote hustling mentality is getting a bit bad. Like, I kind of always cringe a little bit when I hear him use that phrase, as much as I do love/hate him. But yeah, honestly, a lot of what I consume through his content is kind of the reason I started doing this. Because, I'm not super comfortable on the phone, on the microphone, talking to people. So I'm kind of using this also as a platform for myself to grow as well. And if this becomes more than, what it is now, great. If not, then, the experiment worked. But yeah, kind of like with that being said, like I'm going to do a total 180. So I don't know if you've heard of the movie. I think it's called Just in Time or Justin. It's like Justin Timberlake and Amanda Seyfried. I think it came out in like 2008 or something, but pretty much the premise of that was on your arm, instead of using money as a currency, you use time. So you could actually see when you die.
I've seen a trailer for that, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously life doesn't work like that. So I'm totally on the same page as you as to where, like, if you're young and feeling well, you should enjoy what you're doing. Obviously, don't just, obviously if you have the money to travel around the world and just only do that exclusively and not work. But unfortunately for most people, still even doing that every once in a while, I think that's more valuable than, sitting at a 9 to 5 that you absolutely hate in a cubicle from when you're 21 to like 41. And then you finally have enough money saved up to go travel. And then, who knows, you could get hit by a bus and you never got to actually experience any of that.
That is my mentality on, like, what if I die tomorrow? I don't want to sit there and think I worked my entire life. I didn't travel. I didn't do anything. I just worked. I hate that. That is my worst nightmare. Whereas other people, which I totally understand, other people believe that they don't want to die not leaving a legacy. And I do feel like you can do both. I feel like it's possible. I don't know if you have heard of Stephen Bartlett. He's a British entrepreneur. He's quite well known in America.
I think I've heard the name, but so fill me in a bit more, just because it's not really ringing a bell, unfortunately.
Yeah, so he dropped out of university when he was 18. He moved all the way up to Manchester from Plymouth. He dropped out because he didn't enjoy his business course, and he started a business called Wool Park. And he literally lived. He was so poor. He didn't have any money. He wasn't making any money, and he just struggled for like 3 years, and he really did grind, and I really admire him for that. And I understand why he did it. At that point, I understand when you have to hustle because you need to make money to live. And I remember him saying that he would literally live off these, like, obviously fish and chips is a thing out here in England. He literally lived off like fish and chips or like chips every day for like 3 months. And he paid like $2.99 each meal, and he would only eat like 1 meal a day, and he lived in these horrible houses without electricity or water or anything.
Wow.
And he built Wool Park, and he grinded for 3 years, and now he owns a company called Social Chain, which I can't remember what their turnover is now, but they have like over 100 employees, or like over like 500 employees, and they have 3 offices, one in Manchester, one in Berlin, and one in New York. And he is literally one of the most inspirational people I know. Like, Gary Vaynerchuk, yes, he is amazing. He has done a lot. He's made a lot of money. He's grown a lot of businesses. But like, listening to Steve Bartlett, because he's also so close to my age. I think he's 24.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So listening to his journey is so much more impactful for me, because he did it from when he was so young, and he's been through so much, and he didn't have any support from his family. So yeah, definitely go check him out. His YouTube channel is really, really good.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to give that a look, because I've been kind of with a void going through Gary's content, and I'm pretty much through most of it, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Because listening
I
to 8 hours a day while working, kind of burn through stuff pretty quick. So I'll definitely have to
yeah,
check that out.
I definitely, so start from the beginning of his videos. What I find interesting is the way that his vlogs change. You'll see in his first vlog how different it is compared to his last one. They like, it's just amazing. Like I'm really interested in like YouTube, and I want to vlog more.
Mm-hmm.
It's annoying because I always forget, and I never have enough time. But it like he really inspires me, just because if he wants to do something, he'll just do it, and he doesn't care about what anyone else thinks. And I think that's so great. And I really want to go it like, I want to spend my life doing things like that. And I remember hearing him say something. He said, think about the thing that scares you the most and then do it, and you'll see your entire life change. He was like, you will literally be living your life at the highest point that you can, because you're constantly challenging yourself. Like, so for me, the most scary thing that I could do right now is to move to Australia and get a new job. That terrifies me.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that he would be like encouraging me to do. And I get how that would most definitely improve my life. And I think that it would improve me as a person, like really help me. But at the same time, I'm too scared to do it. But maybe one day in the next year I might do it. But
yeah, you never know.
I do love how he just does what he wants to do, and it's worked for him. And he doesn't encourage the fact that you shouldn't sleep. Like he thinks that you should look after yourself, and it's important. And I really like that about him. Whereas I feel like Gary Vaynerchuk, I remember watching one of his videos, and he said something like, while you're eating, I'll be working. And it's like, well, you can't expect us to starve ourselves just so that we can work. It's hard, because when you're tired, your work isn't as efficient, or it's not as good as when you're really awake and you're like ready to go.
Yeah, it suffers heavily.
So, like staying up really late, staying up till like 4 a.m. and then getting up an hour later, you're not exactly going to have a fantastic day, not unless you're hyped up on energy drinks. That for me, I just feel like lots of people look up to Gary, but I also feel like it's not always the best thing to aim for, because I feel like each person is different and each person works in their own way.
Yeah.
And making people feel like they have to work, I think he said something like 100 hours a week to be successful. That's ridiculous. That's just crazy.
As much as I enjoy his content, I'm definitely, and I think a lot more people should also take a lot of his advice with a grain of salt and not take it literally.
Yeah.
Because I think he's not a very literal person, but people take him at his word too literally, and then that's when issues like that crop up.
Yeah, and I am guilty of, I used to seriously believe in the fact that I had to work 100 hours a week to be successful, and it's just ridiculous. I ended up hating. There was a point where I really didn't want to be programming. I think it was September of last year. I hit a point and I was like, I really don't want to do this right now, and I needed to take like 2 weeks off, just to kind of, just like, you like overworking yourself makes you not hate your job, but you lose your passion for it sometimes. And I know so many people have said the same to me, and that's burnout, basically. I read a really interesting article that I posted. It was basically talking about how to prevent yourself from going into burnout, and it said like take rest as much as you can, change your working environment, change the projects you're working on, stuff like that. And I think that is so interesting, because
was it kind of more of like noticing like the warning signs of when you might be getting too burnt out?
Yeah, and how to prevent it, basically, because I know that in development it's so easy to get burnt out because you get so engrossed in a project. I know that I've spent hours trying to fix a bug before, and you don't want to leave your computer because you're like, I know I can fix this.
Yeah, and you're like bashing your head against the wall
until I fix it. And I remember I spent like 2 days trying to fix a bug, and I didn't sleep. Like, I rarely slept. I think it was like I had 3 hours sleep over 2 days. And I was just like, and I felt it felt amazing when I fixed it, but it just wasn't worth it, because you just get burnt out. And it's ridiculous. But I know that a lot of developers do get burnt out really easily. I know that it's a huge topic in our group, like our Tribe of Devs group. Like we talk about it a lot. Have you ever hit burnout?
Like, yes and no. Like, I there's definitely times, everybody has times when it's just like you feel like there's just so much stuff going on. At my job that I'm currently at now, after I started only 6 months in, they ended up letting go the person that I was working with who trained me. So I essentially had to work with 6 months experience holding up the whole department and doing a bunch of logistical things. And that was definitely a pretty
Yeah.
rough time. But looking back, I'm also thankful for it because in those, I want to say I did that for probably another 6 months or 4 months, somewhere around those lines. But in that time frame, I probably gained the knowledge that I probably would have only got, for working another year or 2 years, just because there was so many aspects I had to cover and so many different things I had to go through. But also during that time too, I wasn't really thinking too much of mindfulness. So like I would literally go to work for like 12 hours, like even close to Christmas too, come home and then like just like eat like complete crap and not really take care of myself.
Yeah.
And now I've actually, changed my diet. I'm eating, very, very healthy. I've started weight training. I meditate. I have a journal. So like, I
Yeah.
feel like if me now had to go through that, I feel like I would have tackled that kind of differently and tried not to work as much and really get stressed out.
Yeah, I get that. Like I definitely feel the most important thing for me that like is my like the way I de-stress is the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Weightlifting. If you get angry, it's amazing because you can just lift so much
Yeah.
and you just get so much anger
You
out.
can
It
just
feels
get
amazing.
angry at it and beat it up, and it's not going to matter
Yeah.
because they're pretty heavy and solid.
Yeah. So I don't meditate. I've never tried it.
I
Is it
thought
like
I thought it was all kind of hokey BS at first, and I will admit,
that's
probably,
what I'm thinking?
yeah, probably the first like I want to say like week to 2 weeks I tried doing it every morning and I'm like, man, this sucks, I can't focus. And then just all of a sudden, like the middle of week 2, I was like, wow, like my brain just shut off. I was like really focusing on my breathing. But there is a really great app that I use called Calm, and it's free to sign up for. They have paid plans, but they have free guided meditations, so someone actually talks you through like how to do the proper breathing and like, okay, focus from your feet up to your shoulders and have a full breath go through, and it's very relaxing. And they also have different kind of like waterfall sounds, and they have gentle breezes and stuff that if you
Yeah.
just put on headphones you're just gone. So I feel like having the right kind of audio setup, if you don't want to do headphones, like just having your phone next to you, like I actually do it with my fiance now, and we both meditate at night before we go to bed, and I just leave my phone on kind of full blast in between us, and we have a room and just turn off all the lights, and it's just very peaceful and calm. And a lot of times, even though she's kind of newer at it and she feels
Yeah.
like she doesn't really do that good of a job, she still feels better and can sleep better just because like it
Yeah.
even puts you in that kind of relaxation state.
Yeah. I mean, for some reason when I was like 17, my best friend Rachel and I, she's the one I went to Cuba with.
Mm-hmm.
She put on, I think it's like ocean and dolphin sounds or something like that.
Yeah.
And I literally remember sleeping so well that night. So it might be something that I'll try tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely, like I said, the
Do
first couple times it's going to be kind of rough, but if you do stick with it, it's like I can't not meditate anymore. Like I'm super grouchy and
really?
grumpy. Yeah, like it completely affects my mood. So now I did twice a day, once in the morning, once at night, but now I'm just kind of at night. I do it for 8 minutes before going to bed, and then I'm set.
Awesome. I'm gonna try that, definitely. I know that there are a few people on Instagram that do meditate, so I am definitely gonna have a look at that. Calm is the app, am I right?
Yeah, Calm. It should be like the top rated one, or it's one of the top like
Yeah.
mindfulness apps. But yeah, I've used that for my whole time practicing meditation, and it's been wonderful. And obviously, all the good stuff is locked if you pay like $10 a month or something like that. But even just the free sounds and the free guided meditations, they do like a week in depth one for free you can sign up for. Obviously, after that you have to pay, but yeah, it's been phenomenal.
Okay, awesome. I'll try that tonight. I'm just downloading the app as we speak.
Sweet.
I've heard people say that Headspace is pretty good as
Yeah,
well. Have
Headspace
you
is
tried
another
it?
good one. I kind of gravitated towards Calm because that's what my fiance had at the time. Like she used it for a
Oh,
bit and fell
okay.
off, and I'm like, no, I need to meditate, and you're doing it with me. So kind of held the gun to her head, so to speak, and now she's back on it and loves using Calm. And yeah, Headspace is pretty good too. I forget if they have a free tier or not, but I think the thing I liked about Calm was it when you open the app, it just immediately plays sounds and you can kind of scroll through and pick which one you want. Whereas I think with Headspace, you had to kind of menu dive a bit and could have probably been designed a little better, but that was also a few years ago when I looked into that, so they probably have fixed it.
That's cool. Yeah. And you said you journal as well?
Yeah, this year I started doing a daily journal, and that's also been kind of helping hand in hand because I have activity tracker, so I'll check off when I meditate every day, or I have some different goals of like weight training.
Is it a bullet journal?
No, it's called like a Hobonichi planner, and it's kind of like a Japanese style bullet journal, but it's fairly tiny. It's a bit smaller than A4 paper, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like it kind of starts out with like a year view, and then they have like a monthly breakdown of just squares that you can kind of write if you want to track certain habits. They have like a bigger monthly planner that you can write stuff in, which I've been using, and then they have a daily planner that has like a quote on each page, and then the very back of it has like some kind of free-form bullet journal type papers. You can have like contacts in here. And then they also have like little weird Japanese trivia and stuff. But yeah, I kind of like this more just based on the size, and I'm kind of a like nerd when it comes to Japanese stuff, so I was sold.
Yeah, I mean, I love Japan. I really want to go.
Same.
Like, I do love it. I'm hoping I will really want to go to Japan next year. I think Tokyo is on the cards, hopefully. But I've got a bullet journal that I used for like a week, and then I haven't had time to do it. I said to myself, I was like, I'll get up at 5, I'll do my bullet journal for an hour, and then I'll do work for an hour, and then I'll go into work and I'll do 2 hours of study, and then I'll start work at 9. And it just hasn't really been happening. Just because like I've been busy, and then obviously when I went to Cuba, I've literally been so thrown off since I've been home.
Mm-hmm.
Like I usually start at 7 a.m. at work. I've kind of gone back to starting at 8 now, just because it's easier on my team at work. Because when I leave early at like 3:30, they're like literally like, what's going on? Like what? Like I literally So there's no structure to my life at the minute. I need to sort that out, to be fair.
Yeah, but, bullet journal could help.
I definitely want to get into it. I've seen a lot of people use them, and they look amazing, and people have said that like their entire life improves when they start journaling. So the only thing about a bullet journal is like I feel like I have to be really creative to make it good.
See, it's funny because I don't do any of that. Like I've seen all the posts and stuff where it's like, oh, I just did like a quick watercolor, and it's like, a freaking Monet painting like inside their journal. I'm like, how did you just like bang this out in like 2 minutes? Like, no, mine's really rough. My handwriting sucks, but the good thing about the Hobonichi planner that I have, I forget the exact name. I'll probably put it in the show notes if I can find it, but it's roughly the size of like an iPhone 8 Plus if you had both of them next to each other. So it's really, really compact, which also means I can write big and also not have to write that much. So if I have a slow day, I just write really large and hey, I finished my page for the day.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's just I don't ever have time to be creative anymore. I like coming from a design background, I thought I'd love it, but I hate design now. Really? I'm literally a full-blown developer. My boss, like, he's like, can you design this? And I'm like, you really don't want me to do that. Like, it's really, I'm gonna be really bad. And he's like, oh yeah, like you've like full-blown gone techie. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
You're in the trenches now.
I love just taking, like, I prefer back end to front end as well. I definitely want to go more into back end than I do front end, because I find front end boring now. So, but it's so funny because the fact that I was a designer and now I'm a developer and I just can't design anymore. Yeah, journaling does sound, I do want to do it, and I don't know if I should just like write instead of make it look pretty.
I'm definitely function over form at this point. Like I said, my handwriting's atrocious. It looks like a doctor like pretty much signed the whole page. So as long as I can read it, I'm happy. But yeah, like I pretty much just will like write a summary of my day if anything big happened, and then like I've also been tracking like my reps when it comes to weight training, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, that is
super
cool,
simple.
Because yeah, I'm so bad at tracking how much weight I can lift. So like I'll go to the gym and I'll be like, I can't remember what I could lift like last week.
Yeah.
Like I to be going up in weight and I just forget. Like, I think that'd be a really good way for me to track that, actually. I think I also really wanted to track my water intake, because sometimes it can be so bad.
Yeah.
I'll forget to drink water, or what other things that I want to track? I was going to track my Instagram posts to make sure that I post a certain amount of times a week, but now I'm kind of just doing it as and when I feel like I want to post.
Which is how it should be, truthfully, you know? Like, you don't want to just kind of keep, like, shelling out content, like, every, like, 3 hours and it's all low quality. Like, I'm sure one high quality post that you're actually like, you know what, I really feel like doing this. I have something to say or show, and it's great, versus just trying to, you know, quote unquote, feed the machine and just get something out there.
Because at that point, when you're trying to post every day, I don't feel like I'm being real with all my followers. I feel like I'm just like putting on that I'm like busy, and it's just like that's completely pointless. I need to be completely transparent with everyone, because I don't want to put out this like lie about how I'm busy all the time and that's the life of a developer, because that isn't it. And I think I've tried to portray that in my posts, that like I love to have fun and go on holiday. Like I took my laptop with me to Cuba because I thought, you know what, I can code whilst I'm out there. And I coded on the plane on the way over, and I got out there and there wasn't any Wi-Fi and there wasn't any service until I got to the hotel. And even then I was like, I don't want to sit in the lobby on my laptop whilst I could be down at the beach. Like, I'm on holiday. There's no reason for me to sit on my laptop.
Yeah, you can catch up on all that when you're done with your holiday.
Yeah. So I don't think I really used my laptop that much whilst I was out there. So some of my friends know about my code account. I have got a personal account as well, but I'm actually, I don't know, I get really nervous about people that know me knowing that I've got the account, because I feel like people are going to judge me. And this is something that Brad and I have discussed a lot, is that like it's difficult because some people really don't get why we have the accounts, and they think it's odd. Others are like really like good about it, and they'll be like, why haven't you posted? And I'm like, I don't want to take a photo with my laptop if I'm not using my laptop.
Yeah.
Like, just giving off that I'm using my laptop when I'm not, which is completely fake.
Yeah.
So,
and it goes back to the whole hustling thing too, just kind of for a recall. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of people that say like, yeah, I'm killing it, and in actuality they just only take that picture and then go back to watching, you know, Altered Carbon on Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want to like lie to everyone and say, oh, I'm working all hours of every day, I'm on holiday in Cuba and I'm still coding. Like,
yeah,
in reality, people don't do that. People don't go to Cuba for a holiday and work, really, unless you're like a business owner who's trying to grow your business and you just so happen to be going away.
Right.
Like my boss, when he went to Dominican Republic, I remember him saying he was on his laptop for a good amount of time during the day. And that for me is my worst nightmare. I don't want my life to be about that. Like, I love code and I really enjoy doing it, but I wouldn't want to do it whilst I'm on holiday with my friends or my family. So yeah, I think that I love Instagram and I love sharing my journey with everyone, but I don't want people to think that I'm someone I'm not. I don't want people to feel like I work really hard and like I'm better than anyone else, because I'm not. I'm junior and I'm still learning. I still don't know what I'm doing. I still suck. Like, I'm still making mistakes. Like, back in, I think it was in like June, I built a site and we've come back to it now, and it's just, I look at it and I'm like, this is so badly built. And it's just made it so difficult for us to fix anything because I built it so badly. And that's a mistake that I've come to learn from. And I want people to know that I don't build things perfectly. I'm still making mistakes. Like, I'm still building apps like wrong all the time. Like, my boss comes over and he's like, why have you done this like that? Like, you could do it way better. So yeah, I feel like I did a Women in Tech takeover just before I left for Cuba.
You did. I was actually going to bring that up.
Yeah. And I talked about like failure is such a big thing. Like, it's so important. I used to really struggle with it. I used to sit there and I'd be like, I'm failing, I suck, like this is so frustrating, I just want to be good. And my boss would sit there and he'd be like, enjoy the process, for goodness sake. Like, stop trying to be perfect. Like, you're not going to be perfect first time. You're going to build a shitty app. It's not going to be great. Like, you have to learn from it. The only way you're going to learn from it is if you actually build it badly. And like, that's something that I've learned, is that like, I need to fail every single day to succeed, like, eventually. So nowadays I just accept the fact that I can try and build something. It could be right, it could be wrong, but I'm not going to fuss over the fact that it could be done slightly differently or slightly better, because if I get it working, then that's like the main thing, and I can come in and I can refactor it later on. So that's like one of my biggest like pieces of advice that I give people, is that like, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to not be good at something initially, because you're not going to be. Like, when you first ride a bike, you're not good at it.
Right.
Like, you have to practice it to be good at it, to be able to ride a bike, or it's anything. Practice makes perfect, as people say.
Yeah, that's
I'm
too
definitely not perfect at my job. There are people out there who are way better at development than I am, but that's because they've put in the time and they've got the experience in it. And it's something, it comes back to like comparing yourself to other developers. Like, some people have more time than others, and some people are just naturally better at it than others, and that's okay. Like, it's just something that we have to accept. And another thing that my boss says to me is that like, there's always going to be someone who's better at it than you are, and like, you're not always going to be the smartest person in the room, but it's just something we have to deal with, and that we should use that as like a drive to improve ourselves, which is true. Like, if I see someone like Lydia, or the Avocoder, as most people would know her, is I see her and I'm like, wow, like, I would love to know react that well. And it just like, it drives me to learn and be better and to like actually do it.
Yeah, so I just have some, general questions that I think could be insightful for people who are listening, especially now that I'm kind of a morning person now. Could you please describe the first 90 minutes of your day, being specific as possible? So, for instance, if you wake up early, what time do you wake up? If you drink coffee, what kind do you drink? So on and so forth.
Usually, so my usual morning routine is wake up at 5, get my laptop out, sit in bed. And so I usually start my day by watching a motivational video. So usually I'll go to Steve Bartlett on YouTube and I'll watch one of his videos for, I think it's like 20 minutes long. I don't drink tea or coffee when I wake up. I drink a pint of water just to kind of rehydrate my body. I feel way more energized if I drink water over coffee, just because I know that caffeine is like horrible for your body.
Yeah.
Even though I do still consume it, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't drink it first thing. So I'll get up, get my laptop out, drink a pint of water, watch a video, and then do Code Wars in the morning for like an hour, or I'll watch whatever course I'm doing on Udemy. I'll do that until around 7, where I'll start getting ready for work, and then I'll go to work. I'll get to the office for about 8 o'clock. It's about a 15 to 20 minute drive from my house. I'll get to work. I'll eat breakfast. Usually I'll have porridge, because I know that it's like really high in fiber and it's like high carbs. So that means that I'll have more energy throughout the morning up until lunchtime. And then I will either go through my emails and catch up with my boss, or I'll carry on doing a Udemy course until 9. I'll have a meeting with my team for about 20 minutes to go over what everyone needs to cover that day. And then it's just like straight to work. But we don't sit there with our headphones on for 8.5 hours not talking. It is very much in and out. Just, we are like quite a small team still. I think we're a team of 3 developers, and then we've got like a PA as well. We always have to be talking because I'm jumping in and out of different things. Like, being a lead developer, there is way more involved than just like code. It's very much client communication, project management, making sure that the team like are okay with what's going on, and just keeping my boss up to date. So I'm very much in and out. But yeah, morning routine for me is like so important. I read an article about how between the hours of 5 and 7 is when you will be most productive. So get all the things that you want to do that day done before 7 a.m. and you will have a great day. that's what I believe. Try and be as productive as possible.
Yeah, totally on that train myself too. Because I mean, before I started taking my health a bit more seriously, like for work days at least, you couldn't probably get me out of bed until at least like 6:45, and now I'm up at 5:45 in the morning, trying to journal and do my morning workout routine and stretches and stuff, and it's been a complete game changer.
Yeah, it's so amazing how a morning routine can change your entire day. But I do have to go to bed a lot earlier because I go to bed at like 10 or 11 and then wake up at 5. So Brad is based in Australia. So if we want to have a phone call, I either have to get up early so that I can call him. So usually I'll call him at like 5:30 in the morning, or I'll have to stay up. Usually I can call him around like 9 o'clock at night. That's usually the morning there for me anyway. So if I feel like I just want to take a morning easy, but I still want to be productive, and we'll have a call and we'll chat about like what our goals are during the week and like what we want to get done, or if like, even if one of us are feeling down, then it's nice to like just talk about it.
Yeah.
If I feel like I'm struggling or I need advice on something, I'll call someone or I'll message someone who is in like Tribe of Devs, and we'll just chat about it. But like I would say, like I go to Brad about pretty much everything. If I'm having like a problem or if I'm feeling down about like work, then like he's like the first person I go to. So if I feel like I want to take a morning easy, I'll just take a phone call until 8 o'clock before I start work. It's a nice way to start your day because you're talking to someone, you're still being like active, and like it's nice to talk about your problems as well because you kind of realize like a solution of how to solve it. So I know that Brad's taking an indefinite leave on Instagram for a little while, just because I feel like he's demotivated, which is understandable. It's nice to take an Instagram break as well. It was nice because he literally just called me and he was like, I need to talk to you about this. I don't know what to do. So yeah, it's nice to have people. Like I definitely think that it's important to have a support group. It's something that I've come to realize only like over the past few months is like since I've been making more and more friends on Instagram, it's nice to have people that support you. That's definitely like when people come to me and they're like, can you tell me like what is like the best way to get good at like programming? I usually like, as I said in like on my Women in Tech takeover, I said health, failure and support. That is the 3 most important things for me, 100%. And I feel like that encompasses pretty much anything. Like it should be like relatable to any job that you do. Yeah, support is definitely important. I know that a lot of programmers, I know there's like a stigma around programmers. A lot of people think that we're really nerdy and unsociable because I know that Elon Musk is quite like awkward.
Yeah, he's an odd duck, as they would say, but he's doing well for himself, so more power to him.
Exactly. But I think it's important that like we build like support around us, and like our family and our friends are really important because they're the kind of people that you go to when you need help and when you need to talk to someone. Especially because like it is stressful when you work. I feel like technology is quite a stressful industry because it's growing so quickly. And like for me, like the other day at work, my boss was out of office. It was just me and one of the other developers, and the server crashed. And it was just like, oh my God.
Nightmare scenario.
Oh my God. Like, luckily I knew what to do. Technology can break at any minute. And I feel like it's important when you've had like a bad day at work like that. I felt so awful after that day at work. I had such a big headache because it was just like trying to get things back up and running. You've got clients shouting at you because their sites are down and they can't make any money, and you're like, I can't fix it. So it's important to have support, I definitely think.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the same page too. Kind of shifting gears a little bit, as far as someone who'd want to get a job in the industry, if you had a one-on-one with someone and they're like, Nadja, I really want to get in, but I don't know where to start, would you have like any sort of advice for them, or like a particular language that they could look towards to kind of pursue, or do you think it's more or less just whatever they're passionate for is what they should go with?
So when people ask me how to start or what language to begin with, I then asked him the question, well, what do you want to build? And I feel like that is the most important question you need to ask yourself when you want to get into the industry. I know a lot of people who get into the industry because they know that you can make a ton of money out of it. And I feel like that is the complete wrong reason to come into this industry.
Yeah.
Because you're not actually going to be passionate about it. You're going to be grinding to try and get better just to earn money. Usually I do get the answer of like, oh, I want to build this. And obviously, if you want to build a web application, you can either build it in JavaScript or PHP. You can also build it in Python now, I think. I'm not too sure. But obviously, if you want to get into more, I think it's for like server-side stuff, it's like Python and Bash. Like I know a lot of server, like, I don't know what to call them, server specialists, like Linux specialists who live in my town, and they specialize in like Python. And like it all just depends on what you want to build. If you want to build like a computer program, you wouldn't use PHP,
right?
Like you wouldn't use JavaScript. You'd use like, obviously if you're building a Mac application, you'd use Swift. So that's usually kind of the way that I lead it. And like I don't want to like tell someone to start with like the easiest language possible, because it might not even be relevant to what they want to do. So whenever they ask me, I just kind of try and see, like, scope what it is they actually want. And I feel like that's like the easiest way. Like if you want to get into the industry, think about what you want to build and why you're doing it. Like ask yourself the question why you want to do this, and then kind of do a bit more research. When I first started, I did a lot of research into what languages were best, like the best languages to learn. I came across this like image on Pinterest of like all the different applications that are built in various different languages. I kind of went from there. I really like the idea of building like web applications, like social media applications are really interesting. Like Facebook, for me, that is incredible. I think Mark Zuckerberg is completely underrated, to be honest, but
yeah, I agree.
I love him, but that's when I realized like PHP is like a really powerful language, and that's why I wanted to learn it. And that's when I realized, because I did kind of dip in and out of like Java, and I did Python as well, and you're kind of jumping in and out because you feel like I need to learn every language so that I can build all these different kinds of applications, when in reality you just need to think about the things that you want to do and not what other people want to do and what you feel like you should be building. Because I think the most important part of programming is that you're enjoying yourself, that you love to do it. Because when you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're not actually going to want to build it, and it's not going to be any good. So that's like the best advice I can give, is to just think about what you want to build and then do the research on how to build it. Because there are so many different ways that you can build it. It just depends on the specifics of what you want to do. So usually I get a lot of Java developers contact me, actually. I don't actually know Java at all, but I do get a lot of people contacting me about how to learn it, and I just kind of recommend Udemy courses and like Team Treehouse if they want to learn it. And I also get a lot of questions about like how much time they should put in, and I just kind of respond and say, it's up to you how much time you want to put in. I can't tell you how much time you should be putting in, because it should be when you want to do it. It shouldn't be, oh, I have to do this, because everyone learns it at their own pace and in their own way. Some people learn like more slowly. So I don't know, it's difficult, because I usually get the generic question of how do I get a job, and it is just building your portfolio and building things. There is like, I know a lot of people say it, they say like just start somewhere, and it's so true. Like learn the language, learn the basics, and then do some research into like frameworks. So like if you're doing PHP or JavaScript, look into libraries or frameworks, and it will allow you to kind of see the kind of thing that you want to build, and it will help you. So for example, I wanted to build like a recipe tracker, so I could like set out what food I was going to eat for like an entire week. And I didn't know whether I wanted to build it in React or PHP. I came to the decision that I wanted to build it in PHP just because it was a lot easier in my head and I could build it a lot quicker. So I built it in PHP because that's where I want to go, if that makes sense. That's what I want to specialize in. So to get a job, I would say that you need to build as many projects in that specialty language that you want to do. So a lot of people will tell you dip into each language and learn a bit of each one. And I definitely don't recommend that. Choose one language and run with it. Learn it to the best of your ability. Build as much as you can. Build as many applications with as much variety as you can, because companies will want to see a lot of variation on what you can do. They don't want to just see like the same type of application all the time. If you build like 4 different social media sites, they're going to be like, well, like that's not useful to us. Like we're a healthcare system that needs to build like a quoting system, and like you don't know how to do that, or you haven't got any experience in that. So definitely, if you like a language, build as much as you can in it. Try and think of as many different projects you can build and just go for it, because your portfolio is your biggest asset, and that's the one thing that like companies look at. They'll look at your portfolio, they'll see the projects you've done, and then they'll decide whether or not you're like good for it. And another thing that I would say is contact companies directly, call them up, don't email them, call them, because when they hear you over the phone, they can get a gist of what you're actually like compared to an email. An email is very formal, and you can't portray emotion over an email. So yeah, like I love it when people call and they're like, oh, like I saw your job advert, like can we have a chat about it? And it's just like, it's so much nicer than someone sending an email like, oh, I saw your job application, here's my CV, blah blah blah. Like you need to be really forward about it. Like you have to seem keen, I think. And that's kind of what I try and tell people is like, don't take no for an answer, basically. Like show people that you're passionate about it, and they will see that. Like just express how you feel about it, then they'll see exactly like that you're perfect for the job, basically. So yeah, that's that was a bit of a long-winded way of
that you were on a roll. I was gonna let you keep going. But yeah, some definitely good advice all around. What's something you're obsessed with, and not in like a save the world, save the trees, save the whales kind of way, but kind of a more personal thing to you? Like what's your favorite show that you've been binge watching? Or like, I'm really into Tamagotchis from the 1990s now, like something that's like really specific that most people probably wouldn't assume that you would be.
I am pretty obsessed with scuba diving.
Really?
Yeah, I'm certified up to I'm advanced open water, but I'm halfway through my rescue diver.
Wow.
I literally love it so much. I've kind of loved it since like I wanted to study marine biology, and I did my first course. The biggest thing for me is because I could never really do it. I have really bad, like my ears really struggle with the pressure underwater, or they used to anyway.
Yeah.
They've adapted to like be able to get used to it, but I had to overcome that challenge of being able to go deeper and deeper underwater. I've now hit my max for like recreational diving, but I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much. Like everywhere I go in the world, I'm like, have to go diving. I'm gonna go diving. Like I've been I went diving in St Kitts, and that's definitely like my favorite place, like 100%. Like I sometimes, if I'm like in bed and I can't sleep, I'll like go on YouTube and I'll like watch people's like videos from like where they've been scuba diving.
Wow,
It sounds
that's really
weird,
cool.
but yeah, I literally love it. I'm about to join like a dive club that's like local to me. It's like I need to make more time for it because I enjoy it so much.
Yeah, you gotta fill your life with things that you enjoy that much, and that'll make everything else just coast by.
Yeah. Apart from that, I'm at the minute I'm watching Grey's Anatomy.
Okay.
I'm on like season 6 at the minute.
Haven't seen it, but I've heard good things.
Yeah, it's definitely a TV show that makes you realize how important like life is, and how we shouldn't take it for granted. It's definitely one of those shows where I've been watching it and I'm like, damn.
You kind of have a little like existential crisis like every episode.
Yeah, I love it. So whenever I can watch it, I will. But I love it. It's so good. Is there anything that you watch that you recommend?
Lately, I haven't had too much time to really watch or do much just because I've been working on a lot of stuff, after
Yeah.
work. But the one thing I have watched, I only saw one episode, but I loved it, was called The Expanse.
The
It's kind of like
Expanse.
a hard sci-fi show that was coincidentally on the network Sci-Fi that like the first episode had like absolutely no action or anything like that, but like I love like Blade Runner. The newest one was amazing, so like I'm very
Yeah.
into like that concept of like hard sci-fi that's not like Transformers, but like just like a setting, and it's just like everything about the show is really cool, and I'm dying to binge watch it. It's on Amazon Prime if anyone has it, but I love the first episode and I'm definitely gonna keep watching.
Yeah. I've got Amazon Prime, so I could definitely check that out.
Yeah, it's
That does
it's really
sound
really
good.
cool.
There's actually a show that I really want to recommend to everyone that I I used to watch. I haven't really watched it recently. It's called Scorpion. It's basically about a team of techies that they're all incredibly intelligent, and they use their like skill to like basically work with the FBI and save like the world sometimes. It's amazing. Like
Oh wow,
definitely go watch it. It's so good.
I wrote that
Like
down. I'm
it
gonna
is
have to check
very
that out.
yeah, I'm not gonna ruin it for you guys, but definitely like it's so like it's
Worth the
action
watch.
packed and like it's just amazing the way that they like figure things out. Like definitely go watch it. I think like the first two seasons are on Netflix if anyone's got it. I'm
Cool.
sure everyone has Netflix nowadays, to be honest. I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
anyone
there
that doesn't
everyone
check
has
it out.
Netflix.
But I know that like it differs from country to country what shows are on.
Yeah,
But it's on the English Netflix at the minute,
yeah.
like season one and two. So definitely go watch that.
And I'm sure if it's not on your local Netflix, wherever you're listening to, not that I endorse this, but the internet does have a lot of ways of watching certain things,
Yeah.
whether legally or illegally. Not that I condone that, but you'll be able to
Yeah.
watch it if you really want to.
Yeah. I know that Cody is a big thing in England. A lot of people use Cody.
Yeah,
You can find everything on there.
yeah, it's great. We have that over here too. I don't have it personally, but I've got friends, and yeah, it's like it's absurd.
Yeah, so good. But it breaks all the time.
Yeah, that's the only thing that sucks. If you could get a billboard and have anything that you'd want written on it, have millions of people drive by in a perfect world and sit in traffic and read it, what would you have it say and why?
Probably this isn't the exact wording I want, but like this
Hmm.
is something along the lines of like don't be afraid to fail because like failure is your best friend. It will lead you to success. Like I think that that is something that everyone needs to realize in that it's the only way we're going to succeed. Like failing is the most important part of every day. And I feel like that, I think the fear of failing is what causes so many people to have mental illnesses because I feel like people are like afraid that they're going to fail at not having friends or fail at like not being good in school. And that's how they get so like worked up. And
Hmm.
I feel like if more people knew that it's okay to not be like good at things and not be good first time, then I feel like it would make people feel a lot better and they'd feel so much more confident in themselves. Like there's a lot of like people that struggle with self-confidence and like I have experience with it and ever since I've realized that like failure is like an important part of every day, my self-confidence has gone up a lot. I actually read an article it was called 13 things that will happen when you level up as a person, and it talks about how when you feel like you're starting again, like when things get really tough and you're like I literally don't know what I'm doing, that usually means you've like leveled up and you've improved. And I feel like people need to realize that as well. Like it links with failure definitely because you need to feel failure to then feel success in the future. So
Makes perfect
definitely
sense.
on a billboard, it will definitely be like, don't be afraid to fail. Like it will lead you to success. I think that would be it. What would you put on a billboard if you could?
I would probably put something overly simple like be kind, mainly because I feel like people sitting in traffic are overly impatient, and just remember that everyone else is here too, so you're not the most important one that's sitting here waiting. So just be kind and practice kindness for other people.
I like that. I do. I like that.
Yeah, not super original, but I think it's something that people could probably stand to read.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's so important as well. Like it's not difficult to be kind to people, and you don't realize how much you can change someone's day by just being kind for like a minute. Like just like doing one nice thing for someone can change their entire day, and like you can change someone's outlook on a certain situation like in like a second by just doing like one simple act of kindness. Like I think it's so important. And like especially in traffic, like that, like people get so angry in traffic, so that would be like a really good one to put up there.
I think so too. So yeah, in wrapping up, thank you again for agreeing to be on. I super appreciate it. It was fun to chat. So is there anything you want to plug as far as like, you know, your Instagram or any sort of other groups or any projects you're working on where people can find you?
_code queen is my Instagram, and then I've got my YouTube in my Instagram bio. I've only got 2 videos at the minute, but we'll get there eventually. I'll eventually actually start vlogging properly when I get camera properly and get used to carrying it around. Yeah, but apart from that, project wise, I haven't really got anything that I can put out there yet. A lot of the stuff I'm doing is like collaborating with my work, so I can't leak anything, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But eventually I will put something out there when I build something alone, something a little bit smaller. But yeah, I think my Instagram is literally like the main place that I post.
Cool. So people can stay tuned there to see when you end up unveiling that personal project.
For sure.
Just in closing, before we get out of here, if you had a soapbox, which you do now, what would be the one question you'd want to ask people?
Probably, what are your best ways to stay motivated?
If you made it this far, thank you for listening to Small Talk Tech. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and over at smalltalktech.com. If you like what you've heard, the best way to help us out early on is to leave us a review on iTunes. Finally, if you have any questions or comments, you can send them directly to matt@smalltalktech.com. That's MAT@smalltalktech.com. Thanks again.